Hey there YouTube, how's it going? It's me, Jared. Today I'm going to talk about my experience playing Seymour Krelborn in Little Shop of Horrors in Thousand Oaks, California. For those of you who don't know, Little Shop of Horrors has been one of my all-time favorite shows for a really long time, since I was like a really little kid. I've always loved the movie, I've always loved the musical, and playing Seymour was like a dream come true. So I had to jump on board and play Seymour. I got to do it for a few weeks out in California, and I figured, why not share with my YouTube channel some of my best experiences, a true behind-the-scenes look. Today we're gonna look at my audition process, a little bit of the rehearsal process. I wanna show you all the set, the puppets that we used, and some of the performance. Before we get too into it, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you can see more of my content, more of Jared's performance videos, all things theater related. So first, let's talk about the show. Little Shop of Horrors came out in 1982, off-Broadway at the WPA Theater that Howard Ashman opened himself. The show was then picked up by the Schubert organization and David Geffen, and they transferred the off-Broadway production to the Orpheum Theater off-Broadway, which still exists today in the East Village. Howard Ashman was adamant that he wanted the show to stay off-Broadway. And it makes sense because, as you may know, Little Shop of Horrors is still running off-Broadway in a production that is now over 5 years old. So off-Broadway is the perfect home for Little Shop of Horrors. So why is the show so iconic? It talks about dreams, it talks about success, how it eats itself up, and it's about love and a giant man-eating plant from outer space. Pretty good, and it's a musical. Super unusual, nothing else like it. Little Shop of Horrors by Howard Ashman and Alan Menken arguably started the whole Disney Renaissance with all the movie musicals we know and love today. But if you want to see more of that history, there are a lot of other YouTubers that do a much better job at explaining it than I will. So, first, let's start with my audition process for the show. The audition process was actually super simple. It was a tape. I received an offer. I didn't actually have to go in for an in-person callback. The show really wanted me to do it, which I was stoked about, and I was happy to go do the show. Here's a little clip.
Sometimes I think Mr. Mushnick's too hard on you.
Oh, I don't mind. After all, I owe him everything. He took me out of the Skid Row home for boys when I was just a little tyke. Gave me a warm place to sleep, under the counter, nice things to eat like meatloaf and water, floors to sweep, toilets to clean, and every other Sunday off.
He took me out of the Skid Row home for boys when I was just a little tyke. Gave me a nice warm place to sleep, under the counter, nice things to eat like meatloaf and water, floors to sweep, toilets to clean, and every other Sunday off. The rehearsal process is where things get a lot more exciting, a lot of space to play in the room. We rehearsed out in Thousand Oaks. I don't have too much rehearsal footage, but I think we have a few clips that we can show you. Not quite as exciting because you can't quite see the full set and puppet and everything alive.
Suddenly, Seymour is standing beside you. You don't need no makeup, don't have to pretend. Suddenly, Seymour is here to provide you.
Once we started loading into the theater, things got really fun. We were in a perfect sized theater, about 400 seats, which I think is great for Little Shop of Horrors. Like I said, it's gotta be in a small enough space where it feels little, right? It's a Little Shop of Horrors. That's how Howard Ashman originally directed it. There was a 2003 Broadway revival that was mega sized. Jerry Zaks directed it. Hunter Foster was Seymour. But ultimately, everyone says Little Shop of Horrors is best done in a small space. I believe our set and puppets were rented from the touring version of the 2003 revival. The set looks awesome, the puppets look awesome. They are a few years old, but a lot of regional theaters rent this set and puppet out because it makes sense. Music Theater International, who licenses Little Shop of Horrors, they have this package that different theater companies can rent, so they don't have to build their own huge puppets for Little Shop just to then go into storage till the next time they do Little Shop of Horrors. Puppets are expensive to make, but I love using puppets in theater. Puppets make theater so magical. Puppets can heighten the suspension of disbelief. So as you can see, our set looked awesome. I believe Ogunquit Playhouse was using the set right before us, which means our set literally went from Maine to California, as they say in the show. From Maine to California. And I think it's signed on the back, Ogunquit right there. A lot of folks signed it. I signed it as well. And I think the set and the show really fit well in this venue. Now let's talk about the plants, the puppets. So this is actually written in the script. I think by Howard Ashman, who wrote the whole thing and directed it himself. There are 4 puppets in Little Shop that are typically used for every production, right? Unless you're doing some artsy version where the plant is seen and the voice isn't just the voice or whatever. It's usually 4 puppets. You have 1 puppet pod for Grow For Me, right? That's a little hand puppet, and someone hides behind the counter to eat it, to eat the blood. You have the second puppet, which is the only one that Seymour has to operate and manipulate. There's a fake arm attached here, and he uses his real arm to manipulate that second pod puppet.
I just cut my head.
The third puppet is during Feed Me. That's when the puppeteer is inside going like this, and it's really talking. And then after the puppet eats the dentist, it becomes the huge 4th puppet pod that's used in the second act to eat everyone else. We had a giant puppet for the Act 2 version. I love the way all these look. They're super Jim Henson looking. I think they just look great. They're silly, they're fun. For me, that's how I love to see Little Shop done. We had a fun dressing room backstage. Not too interesting, but you got to see all the costumes laid out. Where we keep my hand puppet that I was practicing with, because I just wanted to make sure I got it right. And finally, the show. We ran for about 3 weeks, and it looked awesome, and everyone had the best time who came to see the show.
Don't talk. You can learn if you got more than enough. I mean, learn if you got more than enough. I mean, learn if you got more than enough. So go get it.
Thank you all again so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and follow for more theater-related content coming from Jared. Any performance videos, anything it is you want to see. If you're more interested in the music of Howard Ashman and Alan Menken and their plays and stories, there's an amazing Disney Plus documentary called Howard that documents his shortened life. I would highly recommend it. Thanks again, and remember to keep all things musical. Much love. Bye now.